Hello Assassins, I'm King Link and this is my review of Assassin's Creed Origins. So why this game and now? I recently had said I was going to do Odyssey. Well, the fact is, this is the only early unlock of the Humble Monthly Bundle of May 2019. It's a game that's been on my list as well, and it's honestly a huge game, so I'm going to just dive into this. It's going to be a long review, I believe. And honestly, this is also a major game for the Assassin's Creed series. It's the 9th main game of the series, so it's understandable that most players probably weren't expecting huge changes, but this is actually the game that really bucks the Assassin's Creed formula, well, at least as much as Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag did before this. Let's start to talk about the graphics. Now, I've actually cut a huge video together for the early game of this, but I think it's clear. Assassin's Creed Origins is damn beautiful. Egypt is an interesting place, and Ubisoft has done a great job featuring it, even if it's only minimal effort for authenticity. The years here are kind of blended together, which is one of the issues I have with authenticity, as well as, well, much of the world has to be imagined by the team. There's really no accurate records of what Egypt really looked like. There's stories, but nothing concrete. Still, the world and level design is amazing here. I will also say the one place that Assassin's Creed Origins excels in is the cutscenes. The characters and the drama that plays out in Assassin's Creed Origins looks great. There's a lot of unique characters. There's even a huge appearance by Julius Caesar and Cleopatra, who also tell a really interesting story with these two hugely famous characters. But really, the world is what keeps me interested and exciting in Origins. The Sphinx, the Pyramid of Giza, the City of Alexandria, these are great landmarks, and man, they're so interesting to walk through and experience. I'll admit, I even slid down the Pyramid of Giza multiple times because, well, why wouldn't you? So, let's talk about that story. Assassin's Creed's Origins cutscenes are really good as mentioned, and part is the story being delivered. It's well written, has many interesting characters, and Bayek, our main character, has clear motivations and desires. You'll want to see the entire thing through to the end, and it's Assassin's Creed, so yeah, it's a story about revenge. However, I do want to say that the opening hours of Assassin's Creed Origins is, well, quite slow or weak, depending on how you want to see it. Bayek kills someone in the opening cutscene, and the player is quickly placed into a series of tutorial and combat missions, starting with the target's bodyguards. To be honest, the opening doesn't have much development of the character or the story overall. However, once Bayek kills the second target, which is kind of the first target since he's killed the first one in the cutscene and all, suddenly the world opens up. The story rushes through that hole, and we start to see Assassin's Creed as it should be. We actually meet Bayek's wife, Aya, and so on. And, well, I hate the "it gets better" rationale that people use, and I've said that in a recent video about Okami, a link at the end of the video and in the description. It's so true here. After this opening, though, we start to see everything, and there's no more limitations at all in the game. The player can travel anywhere they want, explore the huge world at their own pace, and in addition, there's actually a modern day or real world segment. Sadly, honestly, the real world is kind of the weakest part of this game. We only come to the modern day about 4 times that really matter, but there's not much of a purpose to it. However, man, the Egyptian time period is interesting, and there's tons to see and do. The story really draws you in. Now, there's a small spoiler here. Assassins aren't actually in Assassin's Creed Origins, and I say that because I think it's a little bit obvious by the name. This is a kind of a prequel to the series, so yes, assassins don't exist, but they really don't even start to appear until the final cutscenes, where you start seeing the connections to the series as a whole. It's kind of a jarring and different game here, but it arrived at the right time and place for the franchise as it was slowly stagnating before this. Now, I do have some other concerns for the end of the game, but you know, I'm going to hold off on talking about them to avoid spoiling it for anyone. Though, there's definitely some heavy liberties taken from a historical perspective. Let me put it this way. Don't use this game as a source in your history class if you want to pass the class. Alright, so Assassin's Creed Origins gameplay is also a bit all over the place, and honestly, it might be better to forget what you know about this franchise, because this is really a fresh take on the genre, and that might be the biggest deciding factor if you're going to enjoy this game. One major change is that Origins doesn't really rely on stealth. Most missions in previous games were far easier if player avoided combat, but here, enemies can see Bayek and he can actually fight them without alerting the entire outpost or whatever he's trying to do. There's not many missions that rely only on stealth. The combat itself is also quite different. Rather than focusing on overpowered counter systems, the game is more defensive and looks for openings. You can dodge around enemies, block attacks, and all you're doing is looking for the right chance to follow up attacks. Now, I do wish stealth could have been a little more important here, but the ability to mix these two forms really makes for an interesting set of strategies, and being seen doesn't mean that players have to race to reload from the last checkpoint. There are also bows in Assassin's Creed Origins, and okay, they work well, but I honestly found them to be less useful. It seemed more effective to use them in the middle of combat as a way to trade ammo for damage rather than trying to take people out stealthily with those. So let's talk about that damage, or rather, the biggest change in the series of Assassin's Creed Origins. We now have to talk about level-based combat. Oh boy, I love when companies needlessly complicate their core competency. I'm going to race through this just because there's a lot to get through, but let's just do it quickly. Bayek gains levels from earning experience, and that's fine. He earns ability points, which is also completely fine. This doesn't sound problematic at first, but let's go to the gear. The gear in the game changes in power as you go up the levels. Most gear is rated for your current level, so you don't get gear above your head, but you do constantly feel like you have to keep changing gear. The problem with the system, though, comes when you're fighting something above your level or assassinating it. You know, the core tenet of Assassin's Creed. You go up and kill an enemy without them seeing you, and this is what works for the series. However, in Origins, your level and weapons seem to come into the damage calculation. Fight something 2 or 3 levels above you, and suddenly your instant kill is now 60 to 80% of their life. Ruh-roh. Go fight something that's 5 or more levels above you, and you get like 25% of their life for a stealth kill. And they do almost no damage to them. Alright. Race through that, but I think that gets the big points across. And yes, this becomes a huge problem. Levels work in RPGs because they show progression in skills and fighting. In Assassin's Creed, you're talking about stealth and assassination as the core of the game. The whole game doesn't revolve around combat or stat calculations. Now, the gear system is cool because you get different types of weapons. Each weapon does something different, such as twin daggers stabbing really fast, heavy weapons are slow but very damaging, and there's special attacks with each. Now, the problem though is that the stat calculations really stink for the player. Your next main story mission might be at level 35. You're at level 32, and you really have no other option but to go and farm and level up elsewhere. Yes, you do get to play side missions, and the side missions are really great in Origins, but it's not actually that you get to play side missions, it's that you're being forced to play side missions. It's a grind. The side missions stand on their own, and when I want to play the main missions, don't make me go and have to level up elsewhere. Yeah, like I said, grind, and that's not a good thing. I'm sure we'll talk about that very soon in another video. But okay, it's a gameplay system. There's another side of this problem. The game world doesn't make sense. Your first target, the one that I talked about opening up the world, is actually level 5. But then you go to see the whole Egypt open up before you, and no one is a level 5 or below. Every enemy is vastly stronger, and just to be clear, a level 10 enemy and a level 5 enemy is very different. At level 5, you can't fight a level 10 enemy and expect to win without near perfect play. But even worse, at the end of the game, as I said, you're talking about fighting level 35 enemies. And just to be clear, everyone is a level 35. The peon of the final mission is significantly stronger than the first boss to such a great level that coughing on him would have probably killed him. So why not use them as one of the targets and suddenly Bayek can't beat him? It's obvious why. It's a gameplay system, but the fact is, why even have this system in the first place? Yeah, it's microtransaction time. Another of my favorite topic to go over, but I'll spare you, and I'll just leave a link to the video at the end here. You can buy faster level, crafting supplies that are hard to collect, and just straight up ability points, and all of this is disappointing for this game. Alright, so with that said, I won't go deeper into microtransactions. I think it's clear my opinion on them. Let's talk about the rest of our Origins. Now, there's not many targets in the game, only a few bosses in the game get a lot of development as well. Everything else happens with Bayek learning their name and almost instantly killing them. Still, there's only 2 real targets that get developed, and those are good. I just wish more had more reason for him to go chasing after these people. And as an Origins game, that might be why there's not a lot of character development, as you're not getting contracts and assassination goals, you're developing it yourself. Now, the tower system itself is hugely improved. You discover the map of the area when you enter areas, and you discover what each point on the map is when you arrive at them. Climbing a tower just gives you the ability to fast travel there, and that's really useful. Now, you also get the power for your companion Senyu. Senyu is actually Bayek's pet eagle. She's actually a really minor part of the story, but she becomes your best friend in gameplay because of how useful she is. She spots enemies, objectives, and more, and it's her incredible usefulness that makes her such a great companion to Bayek. I wish a lot more games did stuff like this because she's a great character that doesn't have to be developed to be a great character. Now, this video has been going on for quite a bit, so let me try to just reach the end, but I do want to mention the Discovery Tour. Now, I've talked a bit about how unrealistic parts of this game world is, but the Discovery Tour actually talks about the real Egypt, and how Ubi used it to design the game. While I won't say that all this research was done before the game or whatnot, I do want to say how solid the experience of the Discovery Tour is, and I think I actually might love it. I want to see this in Odyssey, and it's supposed to be coming to Odyssey, but in addition, I want to see this for other Ubi games, like Watch Dogs 3 is set in London. I'm kind of mad that it wasn't in Watch Dogs 2 in San Francisco. Show the research, Ubi, but also help me learn a bit. It was really fun to see it here, and good job on that mode, Ubisoft. Alright, so a few small points at the end. The mounts with auto follow paths, but it seems like it broke quite often for me. It actually made me manually have to ride where I wanted to go. It was kind of annoying that they added in a function that didn't seem to work exactly as they intended. In addition, the pathfinding of the AI can also break as well, and resulted in me having to leave a area or quest and then come back later to that quest or mission. The chariots in the Colosseum are nice touches. I honestly didn't enjoy them that much, but it's another really nice addition to Origins, and it shows the care that they took with the world. And finally, there's a few, very few ship-to-ship combats, and they're so good. It just makes me want another Black Flag. I'll probably have to go back and play Assassin's Creed Rogue. Eventually, that's the one I've never played. Now, with all that said though, what do I think about Assassin's Creed Origins? Well, I know I just reviewed Watch Dogs 2, but for me, this is the exact opposite. The world here is vibrant, and I get the ability to explore it as I want. The game doesn't constantly pull me away from it. Origins does start off slow, and that is a little bit of a problem, but man, the story is amazing once it really starts, and it engaged me from that point on to the end. The new type of gameplay is pretty good once you get used to it as well. On the other hand, okay, microtransactions are weak, and I've said enough about that in other videos. Just know that I hate them. The ending of Origins goes on maybe a couple missions too far. There's just a chunk of missions that just kind of drag a little bit. But the fact is, while all that is true, I still really enjoyed my time with Assassin's Creed Origins. I give Assassin's Creed Origins a 4 out of 5. Assassin's Creed Origins is a very strong game, and it's honestly excellent. It does a lot right, and I appreciate the ways they changed the game and the formula, right as people were getting a little bit tired of the old style. At the same time, while the story and gameplay are good, the level-based gameplay leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. It's a shame because I wanted to love everything here, but I still have a huge asterisk on the game in the case of that, and I know that's probably going to be what we see going forward, but it's still the one piece that Origins just is not perfect because of. That's Assassin's Creed Origins. So coming up next, well, when I started writing this review, Origins was the only Humble monthly bundle unlock for May 2019. However, they just released Wandersong. I've been playing through it in record time, and we'll be back to talk about that one before long. If you've gotten this far, thank you very much for watching, but since you've seen the whole video, consider subscribing. It would make me very happy. It would help me get up to 300 subscribers, which would make me ecstatic. But until then, I'm King Link, and thank you for watching.